Welcome back to a brand new episode of Chime City Beat. Back on the table with my boys after yet another blown lead. Wow, these are becoming traditional in Baltimore like crab cakes and football. Jeez, come on, let's talk about it, guy. First off, happy belated birthday to Lamar Jackson. I brought the jersey back out for him. Also heard he might play next week. We'll get to that in a moment, but let's talk about it. I just don't know what more can be said. It's just
Yeah,
like
it's a
what? Yeah,
it's a broken record at this point, and to me, it's the biggest narrative of the story is can in the playoffs most likely it's going to come down to whether or not the defense can stop the game-winning drive or the game time, and there's nothing to date that's making me feel confident that they can do that. Bringing in Roquan Smith, that was a bad day apparently because it's not helping them at all. So I'm really curious to see if they can continue that narrative and break that narrative in the playoffs.
I was saying it last week. I've been saying it. Every time I say it, you guys are like, nah, defense guys. Yeah, defense is great for maybe 50 minutes. Sorry, the last time I checked, football games were 60 minutes. And like I said, five, we got technically screwed out of the division, but we had 5 double-digit leads. Yeah. We have only one loss where we did not have a double-digit lead. We should technically have one loss.
Yeah. But, I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, and this is just me, but I can't remember really. It's been a while that we've had a defense that's lasted all 4 quarters. All right. Like, I feel like that's textbook Ravens culture. You know, go hard 3 quarters, 4 quarter. Hey, hope for the best. Yeah, I just feel like that's really honestly how it's been. Now, that final touchdown, like you said, that was on Roquan. That was his coverage. That hurt. That hurt to see.
I mean, JPP let Pickett get out of his hands.
That's true.
There's a joke to be made there.
There is definitely.
I honestly don't even think that ball was for Najee. I think he just was there. Because you saw there was someone else behind him. That was a great scramble play.
Sorry.
Now, Pittsburgh looked good at the end of that game for the second week in a row. That's how they beat the Raiders still. And I think the Raiders just need to find a different switch next week come playoffs because I don't think personally they've got even with Damar Jackson. I don't think they're beating the Bengals tomorrow, who are playing for the division championship and a chance to host that playoff game. They don't want the coin flip either, and so it's a huge game tomorrow in that respect. And I think the Ravens are probably playing for next week at this point.
Yeah,
never heard more team base crying more about winning a division. It's not fair. We might not have a playoff. If you lose, if you shouldn't be worried. You should beat us.
Yeah.
If you're that worried, then clearly we're scaring their fan base more than we're confident in our own team right now.
Maybe don't get swept by the effing Ravens, and then you can
say don't let the Ravens go 4-2. We should be crying.
Yeah.
I don't know why the AFC North is being decided by a win percentage.
Yeah, that
we played all 6 of our games in the division.
Mm-hmm. No, you're 100% right. It's such a weird position to be in too, because again, we don't have to win. Again, we're in, and we've been in. Huh? Oh, I thought you said something. I think that also is what made the Steelers' loss just slightly better. The fact that we're in. It didn't mean what it usually means when we play them late in the season.
Yeah. And no matter, it's the playoffs. Eventually, you're going to get a good team. And honestly, the Bengals is probably the best draw other than the Jaguars because we know them better than anyone. I don't want to go into Kansas City on the road. I don't want to go into Buffalo. I would rather play the Bengals. They already beat them once this year. They know we already beat them once this year. So that mindset is already there. And quite frankly, Lamar Jackson had some great games against the Bengals in his career. So I'm actually like I'm not that upset if that's what is the road. I would rather go to Jacksonville, sure, but it still beats going to Kansas City or Buffalo.
Yeah. Like I feel like, you know, Buffalo, Kansas City, those are definitely teams you don't want to face next week. I wouldn't say that, Jacksonville's riding high, just actually beating the Titans to get into the playoffs. That I would like to play them again, just from earlier in the season. I feel like, what'd you say, Ross?
That's one of those 5 that we have blue.
Yeah, definitely would like to get that one back.
All right, we're going to the 3 seed. The Chargers are not going to lose to the Broncos. I do not see the Chargers losing to the Broncos.
I'll argue that we also blew the Bengals game, including that in your, but we came back to win that game after blowing that lead.
Luckily, we don't have to count that one because we did finish that one. All those 5 are double-digit leads that we blew,
and
including last week.
We both I feel like we almost blew the Patriots game. All the games.
Yeah, trust me, that there could be way more on that list. Luckily, there was a couple we figured out how to come back and get a last-minute score. Thanks, it helped having Tucker around, but
yeah, I think even the first time around we had to come back to beat them. Wild. Sorry, railed that train.
Yeah, it's just such a weird place to be in tomorrow. The Ravens, we saw that the Ravens have released Deshaun Jackson and Nick Boyle. Nick Boyle, since that knee injury, just hasn't really been the Nick Boyle we remembered. And right now, the team has elevated quarterback Brett Hundley, Rayshad Nichols, defensive tackle from the practice squad, activated Tylan Wallace and cornerback Daryl Worley from IR. Obviously, we just need healthy bodies. A lot of guys are not playing tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see Calais Campbell. That's probably the defensive tackle. I thought you see Marlon Humphrey. You're probably definitely not going to see Peters on that. And your stars on defense probably going to be there. I bet you Roquan does play for a little bit. They're just weak at the linebacker, but yeah, I think you're probably going to see a heavy. I don't think they play Huntley because if Huntley gets hurt and then Lamar Jackson doesn't play next week, then you are throwing Anthony Brown in the playoff game, which you don't want to do. I have some hope that Huntley can have a big game in the playoffs. Unlikely, but
I think we've seen enough of Huntley. He can't throw the ball more than like 10 yards down the field. I know we don't want him to throw the ball, but of his 10 to 15 attempts, at least something needs to be down the field. I mean, Anthony Brown is starting this game. They're not announcing until pregame, but you don't have a guy take all the first team reps and then have the guy who's had a shoulder injury basically all year play.
Yeah.
That's why they brought Huntley up. You're not having 3 quarterbacks dressed. There's no reason to do that.
None at all. I am interested to see Wallace in the offense. I would like to see maybe them again. This is a game we don't have to worry about winning. Let's try and see what type of passing offense we can develop. Like, I would love to see some downfield passing. Anthony Brown, I believe he's probably a better passer than Tyler Huntley. So it would be great to see that. That would give me confidence. Hopefully, maybe putting Lamar in that next week, see what happens. But yeah, it's a wild place to be. Week 18,
wow. And then the game within the game. Like, how much are the Bengals going to be trying to show their hand? Like, the Ravens might be doing a lot of passing, so that the Bengals next week have to kind of worry about that a little bit more. Like the gamemanship here. Like if the Ravens just come out passing and having success, all of a sudden maybe they don't stack the box because they had to be worried about that. I don't know. There's a lot of crazy stuff, and I'm going to see if Chase plays for the Bengals. If you do see Higgins out there, how much Burrow does play.
Yeah,
so many things because the Bengals can't afford to lose this game. Because they lose this game and the Chargers win, they could be on the road next week. That would be amazing. So they've got to. I know they're upset up there in Cincinnati because they have to try to win this football game, and so they're going to come out trying to play the Ravens early and knock them out. So as long as the Ravens hang around, the Bengals are going to play Joe Burrow. So that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, you don't think about that again. The Bengals are in a similar situation. Again, you don't think about that. There's a lot of pieces to be played. Again, the Ravens could sneak away with a win.
It's still a very good defense for 3 quarters. They still have Justin Tucker. So long as they don't make turnovers, I think the game's going to be relative. It's not like they're playing. It's not like the Bengals are playing a bad defense. Like if Marlon Humphrey does play to get some reps, they're going to have some trouble even that football. It's not like they're playing the Browns or something.
I say do it like a preseason game. Starters, first quarter. Then we start rotating guys in, not to make it look too obvious. And then by the third and fourth quarters, like pretty much it's virtually all backups. Let's wrap this game up and hold them. I'm in that we could win. Like I honestly don't. I'm not looking at this game as like, oh, whatever. It's just a game you clean to or whatever. But no, like I fully think we can win this game. Why not? Yeah.
I feel like we've said this before.
Yeah. I'd say this every week, I feel like.
Well, I feel like since the bye week we've been saying this.
We can win this game.
Yeah. The playoff week is going to be really interesting for so many. Like I miss covering the team because like being there, not knowing if Lamar Jackson's playing all week, that's a storyline. The defense, the health, that's a storyline. It's just unbelievable. Like there's so much going into this. You're playing the Bengals for a third time. Like the last time I think that's happened with the Steelers in 2008 when we played in the AFC title game. Like it's going to be a really crazy week next week, no matter what happens tomorrow.
Yeah,
and I'm here for it. I'm glad we're in the playoffs. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm grateful as hell that I get to be on the table with you guys for playoffs. I didn't know at a part of the season if that was going to be possible, but here we are. There's so much going into it, and I think we're going to do some extra coverage on the Facebook page. I think we're definitely going to be putting stuff out on Twitter, just getting out there because again, it's playoffs in Baltimore. Not saying we're overlooking this week's game, not saying that, but it's playoffs in Baltimore, baby. Around the league, not sure if those watching who saw it live, who didn't, but Damar Hamlin, safety for the Buffalo Bills, Monday Night Football. One of the most surreal scenes in football I've ever seen, from playing, coaching, watching more years than I can count. Just a normal run-of-the-mill tackle play. Gets up, goes into cardiac arrest. Absolutely insane to witness. Medics and emergency teams acted rapidly, giving him life-saving treatment, CPR, to get him to where he is now, up in the league. To watch that live, I'm not sure if you guys saw it live. Watching it live, that was spooky. That was insane.
Yeah, I feel like everyone. Honestly, I feared the worst, and the more we're just trying to do CPR, the more I was like, he probably just died. We probably just saw, and like the repercussions of this, not just in like this week, but like 10, 20 years from now, that this is one of those things that could negatively impact the game as far as like people joining, people, the youth, like all that stuff. Because it is bigger than the game, and so it was scary to watch. I think some of these players that were involved in that, just watching from a distance, PTSD is going to be real.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see, honestly, how the Bengals come out tomorrow. They're probably going to be either motivated or some of them may not even play, I heard. So I'm just curious. I mean, once the game starts, I think the adrenaline takes over, but maybe they'll, be ginger coming in. It's all up in the air on both sides, because I think that's the reality when you see injuries like this.
Yeah. Yeah, I was watching it and I'm thinking to myself, this is going to be one of those plays, one of these moments that changes football forever. I don't know how. You think about the tuck rule, you think about head-to-head contact, things that have changed over the NFL over years. I don't know how exactly it's going to affect it, but I'd expect something new next season. And it's really it humanized football in a way. Because again, we look at these people like superheroes. We look at them like, larger than life beings, but at the end of the day, they're just men like you and me. And they play this sport, this contact sport, and at a moment's notice, anything can go wrong. And it really just humanized the sport for me. It was really surreal, honestly. Ross, you have any thoughts?
No, instead, talk about Bengals players. T. Higgins.
Yeah.
I can't believe people were trying to blame him.
Yeah.
Like how? I think Bart Scott even partly tried to blame him. What?
Yeah, that's what my mom. I remember Bart Scott like deliberately twisted that running back from the Saints who went to USC, Reggie Bush, deliberately like ankle and said I put some hot sauce on it. It's like that's the guy that's like attacking T. Higgins, like hypocrite, but that's just me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things where in times of tragedy, you find the best in humanity and the worst. You have people that, again, millions have been raised for Hamlin's fundraiser or charity. And again, then you see the nastiness on Twitter, the nastiness in ESPN, where you could even twist things. Even Skip Bayless was caught in some drama. I'm not going to go too much into that because it was just like, whatever, Skip. But I don't know. It was a very tough moment. America really came up behind him. I think the world, because again, this wasn't a 1 p.m. game that could be swept under the rug. This was in prime time, and the NFL had to really be on display. I again, we're going to see, within 10 years how this looks, like Jordan said, how this is going to affect the game and people coming into it, because it will. It really will. This will have real effects on the game. Who knows how it's going to look, but it's going to change.
Not only on primetime, a game that had many, many implications.
Yeah.
This wasn't just a normal big game. No, this said number 1 seed, 2 seed, 3 seed, North.
It was the game of the year, honestly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or it was going to be.
It easily was going to be the best game of the year.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting, like because of the platform, the Monday Night Football, it became a national story like the rest of the week. Like I had CNN on at work, and you could see it was like the number one story was his recovery and everything, and just people coming in on both sides. Like, should football be a real? People like NFL Hall of Famers saying they won't let their kids play football, and this like as the media does, pulling in all the different narratives and angles, and getting everyone to yell on television. It's just crazy to put the NFL in the light that it probably doesn't want to be in. But that's just the reality of the world.
Yeah, I mean, again, like you said, more like the NFL doesn't need. I mean, I think you have a lot of issues with CTE. That's a big one. Tua again. Tua's. I don't even know where to begin with that. But again, you see these types of injuries, and it does make you question: is it worth it? Again, I don't know, because I feel like I've played a very long time ago, but I've been watching a very long time. I don't remember injuries like this happening as often, and it makes me wonder if making the game safer has caused maybe some of these issues in some way, shape, or form. I don't know, but again, we didn't see stuff like this growing up.
I know that in preseason and training camp, they went harder, but I don't know. Like as a result, they just weren't as like injury. I don't know. I just feel like this but by being soft in preseason, you're more prone to injuries in their season. Like maybe, I don't know. I do also into my train of thought here. No, the guaranteed contract. Like this is an example why you may not want to give a guaranteed contract, because you just never know, and you got to owe the guy all that money regardless. The NFL owner is going to take a hard look at this and be like, look at this example. Look at Tua, like one hit.
Yeah.
And I spent $240 million. Like, good luck, Lamar.
Yeah. The business side is going to change dramatically. You have players that are in, and I hate to say it because I've I spent years on the internet, fighting that people say, that Lamar Jackson plays a style of football that is dangerous, you could say, financially dangerous. And I mean, to be honest, the proof is there. The last 2 seasons, we started out about 8-3, 8-4, whatever. And he gets injured. And then you see, I mean, almost literally scheduled, it looks like.
Yeah.
It to me, that says something, I mean, it says you're possibly injury prone. I mean, something's always happening around this time and down the stretch. It's something that I think front offices are going to look at. If not the Ravens, other front offices are going to think about this. So I don't know. Guaranteed money, at least in Lamar's situation, I think gets thrown out the door, to be honest.
Yeah, I did a story for the day, but I just wonder if the Ravens are going to take a look at one of those quarterbacks in the draft and be like, we're not playing the game. So be like, Lamar is super talented, obviously, but we don't. As you can see, we just need someone that's better than Huntley, just a little bit, and they're going to be winning all these football games just because of the way they're built. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is very unfortunate, and it's going to be an interesting offseason. Obviously, that we're going to cover. We're going to be well involved with this one because it's going to be ever changing. But just want to close out saying that our prayers, our thoughts are with Damar Hamlin and his family. Again, they said he's responsive. He is awake. And he's fighting. He's a fighter. He's definitely a fighter. And I think, honestly, to be honest, I'm gonna close it out here. I think the game ball goes to Hamlin. Without a doubt, winning the game of life, as the doctors quoted saying to him as he woke up, saying, "Who won?" Game ball goes to you, no question. But yeah, that does it for our show. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Playoffs are right around the corner, and we're here for it. I'm hyped. I'm very hyped. Take care, and go Ravens.